Okay guys, I'm back, and in this video we are going to cover how to put a background into our game. So right now it's just white, and as you can see I made my own changes to the level, made it a little bit bigger, but as you can see it's just a white background, which is really boring. And what I'm going to show you is how you could put an image in there, or maybe just a color, and it's gonna make your game look better. You don't want it to just be plain white. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new package. Sorry. And we're gonna call it graphics. And really, this is a class that the game engine probably should have, but it doesn't. And they'll probably put one in eventually. We're gonna call it background. And this is gonna extend thing. Going to import it and add our constructor, and then we're going to add unimplemented methods. And there's a lot of things you could do with a class like this. You could make your background scroll, or because that can be a really nice effect sometimes. But right now I'm just going to focus on setting this up, and I'm not taking this method out, I'm just moving it. So we are gonna do, for our x and y coordinates, we're just gonna get rid of those, and we're just gonna set it to default to 0, because I don't think it's a background. It's always gonna start at the top left corner. Okay, so we are gonna need a game panel. Okay, so what we're gonna do, so we're going to say private buffered image, and this is if you want an image to be the background, but that's not what I'm going to do because I don't have an image ready to use. So we're going to do both of these at the same time. And then private color, because I'm just going to set a color as my background. And then we're going to have a constructor accepts a game panel. Or let's do our buffered image first. And then let's do our camera, because we're going to need our access to our camera object, which you don't get access from your game panel. You can't access your camera object from your game panel. What we have to do is we have to pass it in as a parameter, because that's how it works. And then we're going to copy this, and we're going to change this to color background. And we're going to say this.gp equals gp, this.img equals img, and this dot, well, I didn't put the camera up here. As you can tell, I've done this one before, unlike some of my other videos. Okay, so we have our camera, or game panel. So then we're just going to copy this and put it into this constructor. And then we're going to say this dot background equals background. Our step method is not important. So we're not going to delete it, we're just going to move it. Okay, so well, no, we need one more method actually. And you guys will probably figure out why we need this later on. append camera. My typing's not too good. Okay, so now if img does not equal null, yeah, we'll be okay with this. Then we'll say g.draw image img xy null. And actually, before we say this, we're going to say if background does not equal null, then g.setColor to background and g.fill rect xy driver dot width and driver dot height. Okay, and so what this will do is it'll put our color or our image onto the level. But the only problem is these coordinates that we're drawing our image to and our rectangle to is they're gonna scroll. And so here, let's just put it onto the panel so you can see what I'm talking about. So to put this onto the panel, we're just gonna say we need a variable called private background. We gotta import it from our graphics that we just made. And then we'll say stuff.add new, background equals new background. Color dot blue, because I think blue looks pretty good. And then we don't have a camera object yet because we create our camera object down here. And this is the reason why I have the append method. Because you need a blob to create your camera. And you need to add your background before you create your blob. But to add your background, you need a camera, and so it turns into a cycle of you're not going to be able to create it. So for now, we're just going to say null for the camera. GP is this, and then we add it. That's adding it to our stuff array. And then after we create our camera, we're going to say background dot append camera. And then that will solve our issue. But the other issue I was talking about earlier is that, as you can tell, it just made a little blue rectangle the size of our frame, and when we scroll, it scrolls with the map. But we want this little blue rectangle to be relative to the frame, not the map, and we can do that. So, and that's actually why we need the camera object. So we're going to go back to our background into our render, and we're going to say camera.descroll. Basically what that does is it takes our graphics object and it's going to scroll all the coordinates back to be relative to the frame. And then we're going to draw our background, and then we're going to say camera.scroll. And then that scrolls it back to relative to the character, if that makes any sense to you guys. Hopefully it does. I'm not sure if I explained it too well. But it will work. and now it looks like everything's blue. But I really wish that screen recorder would not cut me off in mid-sentence. I mean, really? Anyways, well, I was talking about, in actuality, that this little blue, there's just one blue rectangle the size of the frame and it's not moving. But our map is moving, which is kind of nice. And you can do images in the background, and you can make it so that the image in the background scrolls a little bit slower than the rest of the background. You know, if you wanted to put like a mountain back there and it just moves just a little bit, gives it a little bit more motion for the game. But this is all I'm going to cover in the tutorial today. And if you guys like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.